Alright. Cruising, going to the gym. Gonna hit back and biceps. So, this is definitely one of the harder days to work out, just because of the fingers, you know. The fingers. It's a tricky balance in between getting enough exercise, you know, to stimulate some growth and to get that real anabolic response that seems to really carry over into the skin regeneration as well. So I've been working on using some like false grips, you know. I won't like completely grip the bar or something. I'll like kind of grip it with my palm and with my thumb not engaged, but still it presents an issue, you know. Working out with TSW is still challenging. I find that when I get into it, my face starts itching, my forehead and around my mouth. I start getting just like the stinging, tingling, just driving me insane, itching sensation. But I have been navigating that, like the pain response and how I react to it. I think that's something really important. And TSW is, well, exercise I think is huge, massive. Mild cardio, steady state cardio, zone 2 cardio, any kind of anything really, as much as you can do, that's what, you know, we should be doing. That being said, it is tricky to navigate because, especially in the earlier stages, it's risking potentially like inducing a flare or just adding to a flare. The extra body heat, the sweating, the nervous system being overloaded. So I think one of the biggest things that helped me with exercising in TSW is starting mild, starting light, starting just real nice and gentle. I started on the mini trampoline, and I think I mentioned this before. I started on the mini trampoline for just a couple minutes a day, and over weeks of time I worked up into like a full hour. When I started, I couldn't bend my elbows, I couldn't bend my knees, I could barely use my feet, my ankles, but I had just enough willpower to like hobble over to the tramp and get on it. Barely, just I had to like, it's so low, but still I had to like lean to one side and lift one leg up and lift the other leg up on there, and then as I got on the trampoline, you know, I could just kind of just move, you know, I'd just be moving. So I'd focus on getting my heart rate up over 120 beats per minute. I'd do that by just setting a timer on my phone, finding my pulse, counting my pulse for 20 seconds, and then multiplying it by 3. 20 seconds by 3 is a minute. I'd find my beats per minute, and then, so I'd use that in tandem with the subjective feelings of like itchy, burny, overheating, etc. And I've been coming into relationship with what pain signals are actually signs of imminent danger, what pain signals are signaling like imminent trauma, true trauma, and then what pain signals are merely pain signals without consequence. And I think this is where a lot of people get stopped with exercising through TSW, is fearing that every single pain signal and discomfort and itchy feeling and tingly feeling means that a flare is coming, which is a very valid worry. It's a scary thing to think that, you know, a flare, it's traumatizing. It's so freaking traumatizing. So it's a very valid thing. And so the invitation is to not bury that, to not suppress that, because it also is keeping us safe, right? But at the same time, to find the courage to decipher the difference between real danger and just pure discomfort. Not to minimize that. The mind can only take so much sometimes, you know. It's the when I first started, I mean, I was like, I'm not a real Batman fan, but like I was like, felt like the Joker sometimes. I'd be on the mini trampoline and I'd be just feeling the craziest sensations, just insane, and I would start like laughing, manically laughing, because I just didn't know how to handle or process it. I'd be going through fits of crying and laughing and just being manic. So I'm not trying to discredit the pain and discomfort at all, or say that it's just easy to get through. But I found that what does make it a little easier to endure is as we find that difference between danger, between potential trauma, and then on the other side between just signals. Once, at least for me, once I came into relationship with that, I was more willing and able to exercise more and more intensely. I was able to push my limits and push my boundaries because I wasn't living and acting out of fear, out of blind fear. I wasn't holding myself back from the exercise that really benefited my body, because I could confidently enter that discomfort knowing that I'm not actually hurting myself. I think that's the big thing, is we get scared that we're hurting ourselves, so we stop ourselves, or we don't even go there. We just say, oh, it's too painful today, oh, it's too painful today. But I don't think that the pain and the discomfort is actually what's stopping most people. I think that it's the fear of making things worse, which is a genuine, it's a very valid thing. I still experience it all the time. I'm still continuing to find that line and to adjust and to work around those signals, you know. Like, for example, on my fingers, like that's something for me that I do know, like if I use them too much, that pain actually is a signal of me like ripping open these lesions and making them worse, you know. So like I'm not gonna do that, you know. I'm not gonna. That's one reason why I haven't been working and taking care of my farm like I I would like to, because using my hands so intensely, it is actually damaging and it is setting progress back. But for example, like the itchiness around my mouth, the forehead, even though it feels crazy, I have come to find that if I allow myself to just experience it, and if I can have the willpower not to scratch it hard, I'll still rub it a little bit, you know, like we can't stop ourselves entirely from scratching. But as long as I don't like intensely scratch and rip it apart, it's of no consequence. And so what I've been doing is, in my mind, telling myself as I feel these things that these are actually signals and signs of healing. The reason why I'm experiencing this discomfort is my body is actively repairing, actively regenerating. It's going through tons of processes there. And knowing that certain extent of exercise and exertion and discomfort, knowing that it's not damaging, I allow myself to feel it. I give myself permission to endure the pain, to endure the discomfort, because I know how it pays off. And that's the other side of it too. So finding that boundary, finding that very fine line between what's damaging and what's not. In addition to that, then having the consistency, continuing to show up, continuing to work out, continuing to push my limits, push my boundaries, time after time after time, then I start to see the results. Then I start to get measurable progress. I start to get measurable gains in healing, gains in strength, gains in recovery. And then that just further reinforces my willingness to endure that discomfort. As time goes on, I start to see the long game, and I start to see that although temporarily I am entering something very painful and discomfort, in the long term, I'm actually getting out of something even more uncomfortable, even more painful. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually. And as I see myself getting out that, it's like a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for me now to continue to challenge myself and be courageous and step into that. So it's tricky. I think all the symptoms and all the phases and all of it's very unique for each person suffering through this withdrawal, through this illness. So I don't think there's one strategy, one type of exercise, one type of way of mentally grasping it that's going to apply to everybody. But I do think that finding that line and tracking progress, that's for anybody, that's going to reveal the road ahead. It continues to shed light on what to do next, where to go, how to push through and persevere. So I'm about to get up to the gym right now. Going to do exactly what I've been talking about, is, push myself into the discomfort while also still being cautious. I'm not being reckless here. I'm not just throwing my body into the fire, but I am gonna feel some type of way. But it's worth it. It's worth it, y'all. Peace, love, respect, and massive gains. Let's go.